Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Hope everybody is well. Hope everyone is good. Hope everyone's having a good start to the month. Yeah, gonna be an interesting day today. We've got some data whilst we're on stream, so we're going to be covering that data as well. We're going to be talking about some markets of interest. As always, let me know if you're watching. Let me know what charts you're watching as well. And then we will get going. Good morning, 𝖢𝖥𝖣yi. Hope you're well, mate. Let's bring the data on screen. So we had a little bit of shock data overnight. I mean, I was expecting the RBA to hike interest rates to 4.35%. I think the whole sort of economic calendar forecasts were suggesting a hike to 4.35% as well. There was a lot of good reasoning to see a hike to 4.35%, but the RBA have held rates once again to 4.1%. This is now suggesting that is this the top of the rate cycle for the RBA? Are they going to keep it here now, and are we going to start to see the tightening cycle end for Australia? Hi, Mark. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Hi, Code It. Welcome back to the stream. We've got some ISM manufacturing PMI data coming up for the US. ISM manufacturing PMI has been a lot softer recently. We'll see if that whether that trend continues, whether we do see a little bit of an uptick, and whether that will flow into the services as well. We do have the JOLT job openings, or the job openings as well, coming up at 3 p.m. So we could see some moves coming up around about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So if you are in the markets, then be aware that that is coming up. Good afternoon, Vincent. I'm well, thank you. How are you? I'm on the S&P 500 at the moment, looking basically to see how this data is going to affect the S&P 500. We are very, very close to coming into contention with this high that formed back in March of 2022. So around about the 30th of March, we had this high coming in around about 463, 4,632 was the area. And looking to see if we can get a spike into that point. This is a real significant high, so I want to see if we get that rally into that level. Growth over the past year has been pretty good for the S&P 500. Just wondering where that's going to turn slightly. Are we even going to see it turn? Is the market going to head back to all-time highs? That's something that is on our minds, but you can see starting to see a little bit of a move. Now, the reason why I still think there's a little bit more upside to come for the S&P 500 as well, if we just take a look at the VIX index, we are starting to see a little bit of a climb in the VIX. We were talking about this sort of 1330 or 1325 being a little bit of a sticking point for the volatility index. We have seen a bit of an uptick in that, but it's still relatively low considering. And, the area down here is where I'm really interested to see that volatility index drive into. So although we are starting to see a little bit of an uptick today, whether that follows through and we start to see volatility increase, probably not yet. We are coming into that holiday period as well, that holiday season. So it might not be the time to see real strong volatility coming back into the market just yet. We'll have to wait and see. I wonder what happens. So I wonder if we can get a... Let me see if I can get a seasonality chart up of the VIX, because that might just give us a little bit of a hand as well. Any questions as always, guys? Please follow along. I feel like I'm going to sneeze at the moment, so... Good evening to Sharon. Hope you're well. Let's see if I can get a volatility index up. Volatility S&P 500. Yeah, so actually usually see a bit of volatility increase through August. So this is just equity clock. Let's have a little look here. Typically, end of July, August can often see a little bit of a bottom in the market. But have we really been following that volatility map? So what is it saying? Top of March, we usually get a spike. Yeah, well, we did get a spike into March. We usually drive lower, have another spike, high through June, but we had that through May. Maybe you could argue coming into the start of June, maybe. July is usually where we find a bit of a bottom now. June and July have been fairly flat here. So looking to see if we can get that one more spike. I think around about 12, spot 45 area, we can start to see volatility starting to increase. And that means that we should start seeing the stock market potentially fall. Again, risk assets coming a little bit under pressure as well, like the Australian dollar, Kiwi dollar. You should see the yen strengthen a little bit. And we are starting to see some slight signs, and that's just because of this slight uptick at the moment. So if we were to go over to dollar yen, for instance, although the dollar's quite strong at the moment, we're starting to see that play through. If I was going to the likes of Aussie yen, which is a good risk pair to watch, you can see we've traded off that previous kind of area of highs. We've then rallied up a little bit, and we're starting to find some selling coming in at this moment in time. So it will be interesting to see if that continues, or whether this is almost like a larger head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders, and we start trading back to the upside. Now, like I said, I was a little bit shocked by the news overnight that the RBA held interest rates at 4.1%. So how did that affect the Australian dollar? Well, we kind of pointed this out in the video that we did. Although if the data was as expected in terms of the 4.35% move, I actually thought Aussie US dollar could trade to the upside, perhaps into these previous swing highs, perhaps into that 0.68 handle. The caveat of that was that it would have been a negative, and that this area here acted as resistance, and that's exactly what we got in the end. Price reacted as resistance here. Aussie US dollar prices drove back to the downside, and now we're trading back at these previous swing lows. So it's going to be interesting to see how the dollar data plays out going into this session. If we do start to see some kind of bullishness here, it may be met with a little bit of selling in the near future, as Aussie US dollar could be targeting sort of this 65, 75 area, maybe perhaps down into the 64s. So be interesting to see how this one does play out. Like I said, we are technically in a range here. If I just go to that weekly time frame, we are technically in an overall range. So, you know, we're coming to the lows of that range. Could that continue potentially to that low? So we'll see what happens. I've got the news up here. So around about 3 o'clock, we should see what happens with that data. And yeah, we'll go from there. So let's go check on the US dollar index. What's happening over here? Well, we can see that the dollar index has started to break through the 102 prior lows. Now we are starting to trade a little bit higher here. We did get an initial reaction from this point, but typically when you look at that weekly chart, we close back within the previous range lows. We've then started to climb higher. So we could come up into the 103s at least, which are these highs that formed as well. So 102's been slightly ignored at the moment. So if that does then see that through to that level there, then maybe the 103 is the next spot for the dollar index. Now, what I like to do is combo up that weekly with the 4-hour time frame, especially when using sort of swing trading ideas. And usually when we see a nice bullish weekly candlestick, that can then follow into the week after, obviously depending on fundamentals and things like that. But if we actually go to the 4-hour time frame, if the market was going to hold at the 102, what we should have seen was price either form a double top pattern and a breakdown, or we should have seen a move into the level, maybe a break above and some kind of head and shoulders. We didn't get either of those. In fact, the 20 and the 50 have remained fairly strong, and price has pushed above the 102 handle now. So waiting to see what happens here. Do we get a pullback into the 102? Do we see buyers start stepping back into the market there? Hey, Justin. Good to see you too. Thanks for joining the stream again. Appreciate you taking your time to come watch. So yeah, that's an interesting concept there. And I was looking at dollar yen earlier thinking, do we get back to that 145 handle? Do we get back to the 145 spot 50? And if so, do we even get higher than that? Do we come into the 150, 150s or even low 150 area? Now, again, from this kind of weekly perspective, you know, last week was a sort of strong pin candle to the downside, rejecting trendline support, rejecting the recently formed lows around about the 137 spot 50. And yeah, we broke into weekly highs then. So I went down to my 4-hour time frame. Again, what is price action kind of doing at the moment? Well, we can see we had that consolidation through there. Okay. Now, this is where I talk about sort of volumes and things like that, and volume profile a lot. If you are interested in sort of volume profile, if you did go over to the likes of, you know, another platform like TradingView or something like that, you would notice there's a high volume level through this point, or a point of control. And the price actually came, spiked into that level in the news, and ever since then buyers have jumped back into the market. So I do like areas of consolidation. I like where price breaks out an area of consolidation and pulls back to it, because basically a consolidation is an accumulation. It's a battle between those buyers and sellers. Buyers evidently won because price trades higher. Okay, so when price returns back to one of these zones, it can often have a very strong effect, like we've seen here. Now that started to play out, though, you could argue that there's further upside to be had. So where could that upside come into play? Well, you've got kind of minor structure levels running through, quite like the 141 here. It's got the averages there as a little bit of support as well. So if we do see any kind of sharp pullbacks today, maybe 141 is going to be the area where buyers start to maybe kick back in if we were to see any kind of negative influence there. Reason I say that is because the markets are in a period of low volume, high volatility. What we usually see in those market conditions is some quite aggressive moves, and you can tell that by how the market has moved on dollar yen recently. If you were to look at the ATRs and how the market has moved, we're seeing like double ATR moves in a single day, or even in some cases triple the ATR moves. So yeah, very low volumes in the market just means that it takes less influence for the market to be pushed in a particular direction. And yeah, that's what I feel like we're seeing at the moment anyway on the likes of dollar yen. Let me know if that makes sense, guys. Let me know you're still here. If you are trading anything in particular as well, let me know. I would love to hear from you. We're just counting down really to that ISM manufacturing PMI and JOLTS job opening data coming up at 3 p.m. So we'll get a live reaction of that as that one comes in. We do have some Bank of England stuff coming up as well this week. So cable is definitely on the watch list going into this week. Pound yen was having a little bit of a good time. We recently saw that kind of jump back into that 175.50 handle down through here, or the 176. and started to drive higher through there. Weekly looks pretty good. 4 hour, on the other hand, doesn't look particularly great. You've just got this kind of aggressive movement, and again, this is what can happen with that sort of whipsawing effect in the markets, especially these market conditions. August is notorious for very difficult trading conditions, so it's notorious for that sort of low volume, and it can be quite difficult to catch those momentum trades because the market is affected deeply by them. So yeah, interesting sort of price action there. A little bit choppy for me. Cable, on the other hand, is not too bad. We are starting to see that sort of shallow pullback. The weekly chart is definitely bullish at the moment, but was looking to see, basically waiting for that data to come out to see what happens there. Code, it's in gold. Justin, Aussie dollar got slapped hard off the rate announcement. Absolutely, Justin. Yeah, kind of hit those prior lows, didn't it, and just stuck to them, and price fell away. Vincent's long in pound Kiwi from 206.77. Nice. We'll have a little look at that one. And Ifran, I was looking at GA for longs, didn't get an opportunity to get on board. Yeah, I liked GA longs, actually. I was looking at 191.50. Got about 180 pips out of it, so I'll show you that one. Morning, Denise. Hope you're well. But yeah, so cable, just kind of eyeing up cable first before I jump over onto those charts that you've all added into the chat. We can see that we are still technically in a strong upward trend here. It's just that, yeah, waiting for these data sets to come out to see what happens. Does the dollar get weaker if we do see a drop in the ISM manufacturing PMI and jobs openings? So we'll wait to see what happens there. Jobs openings forecast to come in lower. Manufacturing PMI is actually meant to come in a little bit higher, but we have seen the manufacturing PMI softer recently, so we'll see if that trend continues. But yeah, we can see coming back into this kind of area of interest now, perhaps back down into this 127.20 area, and that trend line support could be something interesting for cable, but I'm going to wait and see what happens there. We did get quite a strong spike up, didn't we, into that 1.3. Again, reaction from that. So attacking the lows at the moment, but I don't see any kind of opportunity there just yet. But let's hop over to some of those then. So what did we have? We had gold as one. I'll come on to gold a little bit later, code it. We'll go through cable first while I'm on it. So Vincent is long pound Kiwi from 206.77. So I don't know if I've got a pound Kiwi chart open. Let's get one open. Pound Oz, pound CAD, pound dollar, pound Swiss, pound yen. Let's go into miners. Here we go. Right, let's have a look. So from 2.0, what was that? Let me put it on screen again. 2.067 706 2.0677. Let me put that on screen. Nice, coming in at these lows. I like that a lot, Vincent. Really like that a lot. Especially because we're trading from an extreme. So price is coming into extreme lows where we've had a strong turning point in the past. Price has come back down into that level again. Nice extreme. Price is starting to bounce from there. Now, Kiwi has been a little bit softer as well. So pound Kiwi long, could be an option considering, you've got this kind of overall range. So targets could be the sort of range highs there. So yeah, I like that a lot, Vincent. That's a nice trade. Like I said, I liked pound Aussie. So let's go take a look at pound Aussie. I like the 191.50 level, which was just down through here. Basically, that was the sort of entry point through there. Targets prior highs around about 180 pips away. reason why I like this one a lot, again, is it's all based off this weekly chart. If we take a look at it, if I just might be able to delete a few things off. I will actually move the chart so you can see it a little bit better. Let me know if that's a little bit better. We're kind of working within this sort of channel going on in here. What I like the fact was we were back at this 190-150 high. Now we were rejecting it a little bit, so I was expecting maybe a little bit more downside, but nice bullish weekly close came in, you know, in and around this area there. So a nice strong bullish weekly close through that level. So I was looking to see if price would sort of pull back. Now again, I like that 4-hour time frame. I like the 4-hour higher highs, sort of higher low pattern, and you can see that development there, the market making those higher highs, higher lows. And what I marked up was the consolidation zone just through here. Okay. So we ended up with a buy stop order at 191.50, targeting those price swing highs there. But that's a nice one where you get the kind of combination of everything all together. You've got sort of your weekly chart is bullish, you know, tick. What was the weekly close? That was bullish, you know, tick. Pound at the time, pretty strong. We're going into a Bank of England meeting. So you've got all those kind of things suggesting that we could be looking at that. Aussie then weakened, you know, despite sort of my feelings around the RBA. They held interest rates. Aussie then weakened off the back of that, which basically helped complete that position. So, yeah, nice little move in there. But there could be some further upside for pound Aussie. If we actually go up into a monthly chart, if we were to sort of plot a couple of different things, so for instance, this sort of long-term trend line from these highs in here, that kind of intersects around about the 196.50 up to the 197 handle, which kind of falls in and around this area. So you've got that kind of prior high over here as well. So if we just pop that into there, sort of 197. Okay. So, you know, really speaking, if price was to continue high, there's still about 375 pips to that level. If it breaks through that level and we head for that kind of previous highs up there, that's a further 740 pips to go. So it'd be interesting to see what the Bank of England do if they talk about raising rates or needing to raise rates further. Inflation in the UK is still fairly high. I think it's around about 6.9% at the moment. So still fairly high. They might still have to act to bring those inflation rates down. But we are starting to see a lot of central banks thinking of the pause now, thinking of the potential ending of that tightening cycle. So, yeah, Bank of England, I think, may have to do a little bit more work before we kind of see that from those guys. But if they were to say they are going to continue to hike rates, then pound could continue to gain some value, and that could mean that we're heading towards that sort of 197 area. Looking at it from a 4-hour now, a little bit tricky to get in now. If we did consolidate around this point in here and then we break through, come back, retest, that may offer an opportunity for buyers that are wanting to get long, for an opportunity to actually get involved with this market. So I would consider something around there, although at the moment nothing really going on. Maybe if we get a bit of a shock move and price pulls back to the 1.91 in here, back at these lows, then again you'd be eyeing up seeing if buyers start to step back in. But yeah, I do still like pound Aussie long. Still feel like that's a good market to keep our eyes on. All right, 5 minutes now to the news. What do you guys think is going to happen? Let's go check out gold. Gold's still stuck. We're still stuck between these two levels. We plotted these levels a while ago. And we were looking at the 1945 and saying that, you know, if price traded through 1945, we'll probably see a move down into sort of the 1920 sort of area. Just hasn't happened yet. Price is still kind of stuck at this consolidation. Again, it's in a consolidation is a good thing to look for because it shows us that there's a battle between the buyers and sellers. So if we do see, let's say, a significant sort of breakout higher, then, you know, a retest of that consolidation could be a nice opportunity for traders. Vice versa to the downside, I just don't see the downside lasting too long. We've got trendline support coming through, and we've also got this consolidation, which again, arguably you could say the market hasn't tested that consolidation yet, so it may even give a bit of a bounce like this. So I'm going to be watching gold with some real intent over the next couple of weeks. We'll see if the data can drag gold higher again, or are investors seeing gold as even a hedge at the moment? You know, something to consider. What are you guys feeling about the news then? Let me know what you guys think of. What should we sit on? Should we sit on the dollar index or should we sit on the S&P? I might sit on the S&P 500. Have a little look at how the market is affected by this data coming up. Just put in some levels on this. Might even change that for the 4800. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the market plays out. I wonder if that was a fib level where the market came back to. So yeah, it's like a 50% retracement of the entire move. Maybe somewhere in there could be a good area for S&P to fall back down to. I still feel like the S&P has some work to do. I know there's been some decent earnings coming out recently, so that's been probably a little bit boosted by that. But these prior highs down through here, these kind of lows, highs, a little bit of a breakout there, but those two highs coming in around about that 41.83, that could be quite an interesting area if price was to drop lower on the S&P 500. So, right, just in, job openings have been beating for the past couple of months. I'm expecting more of the same. Awesome. Yeah, let's have a look. Well, we've got 53 seconds to the data drops. Obviously, we'll probably be a little bit lagging behind here. But we'll see how the market... Let's actually put a lower time frame on. Let's put the 15-minute and let's see if we get a bit of a reaction here. Is the music playing, by the way? Might be a little bit. Right, let's see. You're starting to get a bit of reaction from the S&P 500. Another, well, not a softer number, just not beating expectations there. 46.4 on the ISM manufacturing PMI. So it gives me the JOLTS job openings. It's a little bit slow, Forex Factory, to be honest. Should have really probably put in investing.com. little bit softer there. 9.58 million. We're expecting 9.61 million. Previous 9.82 million. So a little bit of a softer number there. ISM manufacturing PMI did see a slight increase. Still at 0.4%, or 0.4 number. Still well below the 50 industry expansion. So a little bit of contraction going on there. Maybe we'll start to see the S&P decline slightly. So it start to pull back. Try to just attack this 458 number, but we're just rejecting coming in there again. Let's have a look at how the dollar index has fared. Dollar starting to feel a little bit of weakness from that, but still only just starting to sort of pull back. 102s could be a good number to watch on that one. Let's have a look at the dollar yen price. I quite like 141 dollar yen, so that is around about nowhere near where I put that line. That's around about here. So price needs to do a lot of work to get back down to that point. Not really a big number. Maybe the market's waiting a little bit more for the jobs number at the end of the week. Not the biggest reaction in the world. Big expiry was at 142 today on the 10 a.m. New York. Yeah, we had that initial drop down. Market's still kind of floating. See if it starts to sink a little bit lower. Sharon, just watching, wary of the market right now. Yeah, that's a real... Oh, hopefully I'm back. I don't actually not know if I'm back or not. Don't know what happened there. It wouldn't be a live stream without internet problems for me, though, would it? Would not be a live stream. First day of the month as well. Are you going down further? Let's have a look. We're having a little bit of a recovery here. Dollar's getting a little bit weaker off the back of that data. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see much action now, to be honest. A little bit disappointing, really. But first day of the month, like Denise said. What else we got? We've got ADP non-farm employment change coming up tomorrow. Obviously, the Fed putting a lot of interest in the labour market. So, you know, that could be quite crucial at 1:15 p.m. Thursday. What we got going on Thursday? We'll probably do the ISM services PMI data drop on Thursday. I'd like to see if that comes in a little bit softer as well. We also have the Bank of England rate decision on Thursday as well. So I might cover a little bit of that. Yeah, expecting Bank of England to hike, but maybe the market's going to wait towards the end of the week. Actually, my birthday on Friday, so average hourly earnings coming out on my birthday could be an interesting day to watch. Well, I think I'm still here. Let's have a look around the boards then. Let's check out euro dollar. Euro dollar was in a really interesting position. I was actually looking at euro dollar. We've come back down into the 109.50 area of interest, which was this area just down through here, this zone. Also previous daily H4 lows. So I was looking to see how price reacted in and around that there. Was that a chance for buying to start either coming back in or what? Looks like we're starting to see a little bit of rejection here. Had a bit of a spike higher. Price tried to take out these highs and we've just failed that. So maybe we'll start to see a little bit of a move back to the downside. There was some nice high volume levels up here as well. The market's kind of rejecting in there. So we'll see if that one continues. But I did quite like the idea of that H4 area there. If price trades through that area, we've got this area down through here, which is probably going to be the next stop if price does break out in any particular direction. But I'll keep an eye on euro dollar because that is an interesting point. Dollar yen starting to trade back to the upside now. Didn't quite get the expected drop first before the move up, but again, yen starting to sort of weaken a little bit further. Archie, CAD yen, please. Yeah, CAD yen still fairly bullish. Bit of an interesting week on this one last week, wasn't it? You know, had that strong bullish weekly close. I was very much expecting that to flow through and continue. Just had a little bit of a nightmare week with data. Caused a lot of volatility. CAD yen came all the way back into its weekly low, pretty much did the exact sort of range and then back again. So traded into that weekly low, rallied about 320 pips back to the upside, and has formed this kind of double bottom pattern now from this daily chart. Again, kind of trading through the neckline of that area. I still feel that sort of 109s on the outlook here. Again, consolidation up through there. We had strong selling pressure from that, so I'm expecting the market to come and have a little test of this area through here. So I think oil prices are doing pretty well as well. Yeah, oil has been climbing. We're heading towards these kind of highs here in oil as well. So a little bit of a way to go on oil. Could also help influence that sort of risk on and CAD yen potentially heading higher. So I still do quite like that 4 hour at the moment, consolidating above that key structure point, which is that 107.50. Again, I think if you have a bit of a sort of mindset of, you know, is this market going to move higher? Where could it move to? If price trades out of it, pulls back, could be a short-term opportunity to trade back to this area here where you've got that key 109 level running through it. But yeah, we've had some clean sort of trading on CAD yen, very similar to what we were talking about earlier. Consolidation, price breaks out, it comes back, it fills that consolidation, even trades to the other side of it in this case, and then we rally back to the upside. We haven't had a test of this consolidation yet. We had a really strong move out of it, but we haven't tested that. So maybe something like that's going to happen, a big move into it, big move away. We'll see if the sellers that were strong here, are they even there anymore? If not, then price may try and continue a little bit higher. Again, we have to kind of understand that the Bank of Japan haven't changed any kind of policy. So when we did see that sharp move down in that yen strength last week, I was very skeptical. I think I might have mentioned it. I think we were talking about euro yen at the time. And I think on euro yen, we were discussing the fact that, let me see if I can get it up here, euro CAD. Euro yen. I think we were discussing the sort of downward move that was coming from this. I think somebody was short euro yen. I can't remember, but I was discussing maybe it being a bit short-lived. Now, we did get a break below that kind of swing low there, but you can see the reaction that we had since that point. And yeah, that was, to me, it was a bit of the reasoning behind, or it's kind of showing us the sort of state of the markets at the moment with regards to, you know, high volatility, low volumes. It takes just a little bit of effort to push the market in a particular direction, and in this case, we pushed back down. Didn't quite make it down to these prior low highs, but we got into these instead, around about the 150, 150. And yeah, ever since then we've traded to the upside. So euro yen's another one that could possibly continue to go. If it does continue to go, you know, you've got the 162s coming up. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that develops there. If I was going to pick one, CAD yen would probably be more of a favored one. We've got that clear consolidation that could be targeted. So Aussie yen, not so sure of at the moment, considering the RBA are not hiking rates. So I wonder if Swiss yen is actually rallied any higher. I don't usually trade Haven against Haven, but Swiss yen's probably made a move higher. I mean, this is all-time high territory. It's how do you get on the back of any kind of move on Swiss yen at the moment, although we do have quite a strong upward trend. I suppose yeah, very difficult. Might be a break and retest of that, but you kind of trading into no man's land there on CAD yen. Let's just flip back to the S&P 500, see if that one's reacted. It looks like the 45.88 has acted as resistance. Price failing to get above that. Might see another move back down into the swing lows. Quick flick back over to our US dollar. Yeah, a little bit of a spike down. Starting to see the continuation of that. Yeah, it is, isn't it, Denise? Swiss yen is absolutely flying at the moment. So, yeah, when that ends, it's the only one that I find very difficult to look at. All the strength meters are suggesting that you trade Swiss yen sort of long, but it's how you actually get any kind of targets on that. Stops are fairly easy to kind of point out, but targets are very difficult to kind of look for. Whereas if, you know, dollar yen, you've got 145 potentials, you've got 151 or 50s, or even the 150s. So yeah, a little bit difficult there. We'll have to see what happens on dollar yen now. We've got a bit of a breakout here of consolidation, maybe a retest back into the 142.60s could be something to look out for. But I do still like yen weakness. I think yen weakness is still something to keep your eyes on. Just got to be careful with it because it can flip so easily, as we've seen recently. RU will continue down. That's from Vincent here. Yeah, probably will continue to the downside. Coming into some range lows now, but I like that against other markets. Pound Oz, for instance, long, I think it's a good market. So yeah. Right, guys, any more questions? We've been going for about 45 minutes. I'll probably leave it there, considering it wasn't all action from the news. I may try and squeeze in the Bank of England rate announcement on Thursday. But that is 12 p.m. British Standard Time, so you may not all get to that one. So have a quick look at the Dixie then. Dixie and bullish for our channel. Potentially. Depends how you draw your trend lines and how you draw your channels. Bit too subjective for me. Like where you're drawing your trend line from. I don't see a channel there, to be honest. Yeah, Denise will be sleeping. Yeah, I'll probably, you know, it might be a non-event. I might be sleeping as well, Denise. We do have some Swiss CPI coming up, which could affect the recent rally. On the strength meter at the moment, I've got the where is that now? Yeah, you might be able to see that. I've got Swissy as +7 at the moment. Now, usually when we are in that sort of range, I do start to look for the opposite to happen. I like to start to see it start to weaken a little bit. See, before it came into the +7s there, we did start to see it decline and we did start to see it weaken. So I do quite like the fact that Swissy is at an extreme now. When a currency gets to an extreme on the currency strength meter, it's always an alert for me to see if we do start to see that kind of taper away. We're not seeing that evidence there at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see. But you can see the yen start to strengthen through here as well. Yen really flying at the moment. Sorry, yen flying through there, but I think that was just a reaction from that last week. So I expect yen to start coming down. Sorry. What else have we got coming down through there? Euro. Oh no, the US dollar's a little bit on that weaker side, but that was just because of that reaction from the 102s. So yeah, really speaking, the only one to really watch on the strength meter is the Swiss franc, and try and pair that with a stronger currency. Let's have a quick look at pound Swiss. So pound Swiss may be something to watch out for. The only thing is we are obviously trading within, by the looks of it, a bit of a range on the weekly. Daily starting to push up a little bit. Not kind of seeing that Swiss franc weakness here just yet. I think if we were to kind of break into some new highs, then that could be an interesting one back up to the range highs there. So that's what I'd be kind of looking for. But I think that's a little bit too early to jump into anything like that. But yeah, need to see a little bit of evidence first of that Swiss weakening before we really kind of dive into that market. S&P down to the 145.75, so 145.88 was that sort of resistance point. We'll see how it reacts here. A break below this level could see a bit of a move down for the S&P. So result, what do you think about the Aussie US dollar now? I mean, it's fairly bearish. Would I be short here? I would. If I'd have been short, it would have been from those prior areas. You got the 50 moving average running through there as well. Nice little retest. I kind of look at that as a risk to reward ratio, depending on what time frame you're trading. You know, where do you put your stop loss to your target? So I've got a target at 65.75. You know, that's about 40 pips away. I'd have to be trading sort of a lower time frame to try and get anything out of that. I'd have to have quite a fairly tight stop, and even at that, it's 25 pips. Just doesn't make that worth it to me. But you know, if you do trade lower time frames, you know, you got your 2050 in line, breaking trend line support as well. You know, I do like to use kind of counter trend lines when looking at lower time frames. For instance, you know, try and connect a couple of the lows together and see where you get a bit of a breakout. So obviously aggressive breakout in the morning or overnight from the news, but then you can see these breakouts here could be potentially sort of entry points into the market. So I do quite like Aussie dollar downside now. But yeah, too close for there to get a real sort of good trading opportunity for me personally, anyway. Right then, guys, about 50 minutes. I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for joining me today, as usual. Really appreciate you coming out. Thank you for sticking through the internet blip again as well. I will be sorting that very soon. I know I keep saying that, but I will. Thursday, I'll jump back on, day before my birthday. So we'll have a little bit of a birthday stream on Thursday. I may do the Bank of England, but I'm not too sure yet. If not, it'll be 2:30. We'll do the US sort of open times again. I quite like doing the US session, so we'll look through that, and we'll go from there. So thank you all for joining me again. I really appreciate you taking your time to come and watch the live stream. I really appreciate all your comments and questions and things like that. If you can leave the stream a like, that would be brilliant. And have a great trading week. Have a good trading week too, Denise. Thank you for joining me again. And enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Bye.